Welcome to this episode of The Mobile Classroom, the weekly video podcast where we demonstrate today's most popular technologies. I'm James Messer, and we're at episode 35, How to Use RSS. I came across the concept of this week's podcast when I was working with some associates out in the field, and they were watching me take advantage of a brand new RSS reader that I was trying out on my iPad. They said, "What is this RSS thing?" I go from website to website to website to get the information I need, and they were looking at my screen where I had about 20 or 25 different websites all on one single screen showing me what the latest information for today was about. And they were intrigued by this. They thought that that could be something they could really take advantage of. But how do you take advantage of RSS? It's not as easy as the name implies. We'll talk a little bit about that because RSS is really this very, very useful technology that allows us to really consolidate everything together onto a single screen. There's other capabilities for RSS as well, but from an end user perspective, that's one of the most powerful capabilities where we don't have to go from website to website to website to stay up to date. We can go to one single screen that's already surfed all those websites for us and brought all of that back to one single view. You can also use this to build a knowledge center. If you are someone who's in government or manufacturing or healthcare or technology or pick any other type of interest, you could create a list of all of the websites associated with that interest, group them together, and tell your RSS reader, please keep up to date with what's going on those particular websites. And that way you don't have to visit every single one of those websites individually. You also know on a single screen really almost immediately when these things have been updated. You're only a few minutes behind every website that's out there. And our world has moved to a Twitter feed and it's moving to Facebook where everything is more instant. RSS still has a place for being able to collect this data, allow you to sit down at the end of the day and have a very, very qualified list, a very qualified knowledge center that you can go to gather information. There's also other things you can do with RSS. You could put in Federal Express tracking numbers and have it track your FedEx packages. You could put in the location where you happen to be and have it track severe weather alerts and have that pop up on the screen if you happen to get any of those things. Different RSS readers have different capabilities. We'll look at being able to do all of this and much more in this week's episode. Before we jump into the practical uses of RSS and how you might configure it in a browser or a web-based RSS reader, I thought it'd be nice to take a step back and look to see what RSS is really about. RSS stands for Really Simple Syndication. It was created as a way to keep track of all of these websites that are constantly updating so that you could see when things have changed. And it was a standard format that everybody agreed on, well, almost everybody agreed on, that allowed us to be able to use a standard way to send information and a standard way to receive this information. It'd be difficult if you had to take an entire website, search through that entire website to see if anything had changed, and then report on that piece. With RSS, we can create a very simple feed from a programmer's perspective, a very simple feed. We're going to look at one and have that feed appear on our screen and just show us the things that have been updated on it without having to search through an entire site to be able to do that. And in this world of blogging and in this world of being able to keep updated websites and constantly changing websites, that became pretty important. The name says simple, really simple syndication. But if you've ever been to a website and you've seen the RSS logo or you've looked through an RSS feed or just tried to understand how it works, from our end user perspective, not really that simple. It was not standardized on where these RSS feeds are located on a website or how they are created, or the reader format is not a standard reading format. Every RSS reader is a little bit different. So we don't have that simple from the end user's perspective, but we're going to use some RSS readers that are relatively easy to use. And once you become accustomed to the methodology, the syntax, and exactly what these RSS readers are looking for, it becomes a lot simpler for the end users to be able to use. On these websites, you've probably seen the RSS little feed logo. It's just a very standard feed logo that everybody's decided that's how we're going to identify an RSS feed. You may have seen RSS in some orange text. You just may have seen the word RSS at the bottom of the page. So that means that page has some RSS feeds that you can take advantage of. Because these updates are happening all the time, these websites and these locations and these blogs are living documents, and these RSS feeds allow us to keep track of what's changed and what's different on those websites, even as they change multiple times during the day. What I thought would be good is if we were to look at perhaps how you could use RSS in perhaps your existing browser today. And we'll also look at some RSS technology that's stored in the cloud so that you can have your RSS feeds in one place and be able to view them from wherever you might go. Many of our modern browsers have built into them RSS readers. Let's see what that might look like in Internet Explorer. If you're using Firefox, there are similar functionalities within Firefox as well. But this is a good in-browser functionality for RSS reading. Let's scroll down. I'm on the Mobile Classroom website. If we scroll down, every single one of my episodes at the very bottom has this orange RSS Watch HD or RSS Watch if you want to use the smaller, lower resolution format. I've also, if you scroll down, got a Watch in HD button right here, since most people tend to want high definition, our 960 by 540 view of the world. If I click that, it's going to take me to a FeedBurner feed of this particular content for my website. And it's got a lot of little buttons here for using any of these existing readers. You can see there are a lot of different RSS readers out there, some which don't have graphics that are popping up on this, but everything from Google to Windows Live, from Microsoft and My Yahoo, those are some very popular readers that you have out in the cloud. We're going to look at one of those in just a bit, and you'll see all of my feed content. Everything that I have on my website, I posted here, and you can see the current feed content all the way back to version 1, the very first Mobile Classroom episode. Here's last week's Working with Audio. And also with each one of these, you can play the podcast right from here as well. Well, again, this is not really taking advantage of RSS quite yet because we're not really going to we're going to one website. We aren't going to one screen and seeing every website. We need to subscribe to this particular feed to have it pop up in our browser automatically. And if I scroll all the way to the top, you've got some view feed XML if you wanted to view the feed's extensible markup language. That's the standard language that's used to transfer this RSS information. Or you'll notice right up here, you have an RSS little icon here that says view feeds on this page. It provides updated website content. And you can see if I pull this down, there's the Mobile Classroom HD right in that view. So I'm going to click that and have it move to this. This is Internet Explorer's view of the Mobile Classroom HD, and it says you're viewing a feed that contains frequently updated content, and you can subscribe to that feed right here. I'm going to click that, and I get a prompt that says you're subscribing to the Mobile Classroom HD. We're going to create this in a folder called Feeds, which is the default in Internet Explorer. There's already a folder that Microsoft put in here for their feeds. So now you're starting to see there, Microsoft's already created some extra feeds in there for you, and I'm going to subscribe. And when it does that, it just goes away and says, yes, you've successfully subscribed to this feed. Updated content can be viewed in Internet Explorer and other programs that use the common feed list. So this is now stored on your hard drive. If you'd like to read this particular feed now, you don't have to go to the Mobile Classroom in order to see that. We have a favorites button right here that I can click. I can even click this icon to pin it over to the left side of the screen, and all of our feeds will be listed in here. If I mouse over, it says the Mobile Classroom has no new updates, and it checked 2 minutes ago because we've already read this entire feed. We know everything that's in there now. If the Mobile Classroom ever updates, we simply need to mouse over and it will tell us if anything was new there. Well, that's a good place to start. Maybe we'd also like to collect information from a news site. So let's go to CNN. That's a pretty good generic website to pull up information from. And you'll notice at the very bottom of the CNN website, we're going to scroll all the way down. There's an option way down here for RSS. Some of these websites really hide it down there. So I'm going to click the RSS button or the RSS link here, and it has a whole page of many different RSS feeds that you could actually subscribe to. So RSS now is being used multiple times on a single website. Maybe I just want to see the technology feeds from CNN. I would only need to subscribe to that view. And there's your tiny little RSS button. We can click on it. And again, it opens up our new window and says, here's the CNN.com technology. They use FeedBurner as well to do that. And you've got my RSS button at the top and it says, yes, subscribe to this feed, and we'll subscribe. And now it adds it into my list. So now we're starting to see how we could start taking advantage of these views. For CNN, now we have 4 new updates. If I click on that, you'll see the 4 new technology articles that have been put on there. And if you're looking through it and you think, well, let's see, we can double our phone's battery life. That's a very good one. We might want to learn more about that. All I need to do is now click the particular title on that feed, and it takes me right to the article. I don't have to go to the main CNN website. I don't have to search around for the particular technology section. I find exactly what interests me and I drill down into it. Now, if I want to go back and look at another one, I can go back to the CNN feed and I can look at other views of this. Maybe now I'd like to look at tech-savvy coupon clippers. I can click on that and see how people are using coupons on their phones and their electronic devices. So now I didn't have to do a lot here. In fact, I skipped over articles I wasn't interested in seeing or I don't have time to read right now. I was really able to skim through and see a lot of information in a very small place that was specific to what I wanted to know. So think of having every website that you like to visit in your feeds list. And now you simply need to launch your browser. You go to that one view and you can start flipping through every single one of those very, very quickly. It saves you a lot of time. And at the end of the day, you can now use that to do something else. It's really a nice way also to consolidate and organize things because you can create folders for these things. You might have a top feeds folder. You might have one for sports. You might have one for your electronics. You might have one for technology. You can add this and change it and customize it to view it in a way that's comfortable with how you would like to view information on the internet. The RSS reader that I use is one that's out on the web. It's the Google reader. So if you go to google.com/reader, it will take you to this view. It works really well on a full browser screen like we have here. It works very well on portable devices. So I can move from place to place. All of my feeds are collected on the web. They're in the cloud. So I can go to my phone. I can read from there. When I go back to my desktop, I don't have to now search through the things that I've already read through on my phone. It already knows that I read through those on my phone. It only presents to me the new items that I'm now want to be able to see, that I'm accustomed to viewing. If I want to be able to now integrate that with a third-party application, there are a number of third-party apps. On the iPad and the iPhone, there's one called Reader, R-E-E-D-E-R, that integrates with Google Reader so that you can now have other applications taking advantage of this single view. I can go to a third-party desktop. I might be in a cafe. I might be using somebody else's computer. I can still pull up my Google Reader view and it's synchronized to me. So there are some nice advantages to doing this in the cloud versus to doing it inside of Internet Explorer or inside of your Firefox view that's only specific to that one computer. Google Reader also has some nice functionality with finding feeds that might be interesting to me. This is what you get when you first get a login to Google and it says, "Welcome to Google Reader." You can scroll down to different items. They give you some suggestions on things you'd like to see. This is one from TechCrunch, and it's one where it was a very long tennis match, an interesting article. Not interested in that one. Let's keep going down. This is one from galadarling.com. So Google is presenting you with some things that might be interesting to you. Maybe you've gone to Google Apps update alerts. There's a feed that the Google Apps team puts out that gives you update alerts on these types of things. Maybe if you are a Google Apps user, it's really interesting to you. You'd like to do more things with that. So if that is something you would like to see more of, we could actually subscribe to that particular feed. I'm going to go to the Google App Updates Alert feed. I'm just going to click Google App Updates Alert, and it says you're not subscribed to this feed yet. Very similar to that view we were getting in our Internet Explorer screen. There are 23,163 subscribers in this Google Reader to this, and there's about 3.3 updates every week. And there's some other suggestions for you. If you want to subscribe, you click the subscribe button, and it moves it over to the left side of the screen. So now we've subscribed to the Google Apps Updates Alerts, and we can now just click on that view and it shows us just for that. Well, if you remember, we were also going to different websites and looking at CNN and looking at ESPN and other places. We don't have to go to those websites to do that. We could find what we were looking for and paste in the exact XML location. That's a little geeky and it gets into getting outside the simple part of this, but fortunately, Google Reader has made this a little bit easier for us. Notice it even has an option. Just type the word CNN. Let's do that. Let's put CNN and click Add. and it's now going to give us an option on all of the different feeds associated with CNN. That's really, really simple. That's really easy to do. So we could see CNN on Twitter. We could see breaking news, political news. There's another page of these. Let's keep going. Some of these have very few subscribers, CNN pictures and breaking news. Some have a lot of subscribers. In fact, let's go to that previous page. You'll notice that there were 7,611 subscribers to the CNN.com breaking news feed. Let's subscribe to that one, and now it's added the breaking news into this list. Let's say when we're adding a subscription that we have a very specific URL, a very specific XML feed for RSS that we would like to add into this view. One of the things you can do, if perhaps the Google Reader doesn't know about that website offhand, is to copy it directly from that person's website. So if we go to the mobile classroom and we scroll back down again to that icon that says RSS Watch HD, I'm going to right mouse click and just copy the link address. That's going to allow me now to be able to put that into Google Reader. So if I Control Tab back and I add a subscription and it says paste a feed URL, that's exactly what I'm going to do. It pastes it in there, which is feeds.themobileclassroom.com/themobileclassroom-free. I'm going to add that into the list. And now it's going to subscribe to the Mobile Classroom HD view that I had before. So even if Google Reader doesn't know where that feed is offhand, you could go to the website, copy that exact location for that RSS feed, paste it into Google Reader, and now it's always there. Now I'll be able to see my Google Apps update, my CNN breaking news, and I'll know immediately when the mobile classroom is updated. Some of these things may be updated many times an hour. Some things like my podcast is updated once a week, but it doesn't matter. It's now all in one place, and I'm able to now view that very, very easily. You can also manage these lists to make them a little bit easier to view what's on the screen. When you get up to hundreds of different RSS feeds in here, you may want to put different things in different folders. So if I click Manage those subscriptions, you can see the subscriptions that are there. You've got a link here for folders and tags. So you could do different things with these, like tag different items, create different folders for these views. You can make certain feeds public and private, so you can show your friends the feeds that you have interesting to you, and do a lot more with these. Let's take one of these, like CNN.com, and let's create a folder for this one. I'm going to take that subscription and add it to a folder, but I need to create a new folder. Let's call this News, and I'm going to click OK. And now it's going to add this into the News folder. That's exactly what I'd like to do. Let's add a new feed into this then. You can see I've got a news folder there. Let's add a subscription, MSNBC, into this view. It'll give me a list of all the options for MSNBC. Here's the breaking news. If I click subscribe, it adds it just right into the base view of what I'm looking at, but I'd like to now move that one into that news folder too. Let's manage subscriptions. We'll go to our breaking news and put it into that MSNBC into the news folder. And if I go back now, I have news that's right there. I can even consolidate it together with the plus and the minus. I can view it or break it out. And now it's organized for me. I can get rid of it. I don't see it. I can just see overall. I can click the news option, see all 18 updates, or I can click the plus sign and see the 8 updates that are in CNN or the 10 that are in MSNBC. It's a very, very simple front end to be able to use. Let's say that we'd just like to find something new, something interesting. There's even a browse for stuff option here where I can look at some of the most popular feeds that are out there. And there's a number of what they call feed bundles. If you want a news feed, they've got a bunch of bundles already for news, already for sports. There's 449 bundles already out there. And notice everything from anthropology to Apple to art to, we'll keep going down, economics, Google, Gnome, golf, quite a few that are in here. Let's say we're really interested in Apple's technologies. Let's take the Apple feed. I'm going to click subscribe. It's subscribing it to the entire bundle. And notice it even created it into a folder already. I'm going to get rid of some of these things. Let's make this a little bit smaller and that a little bit smaller. And now you can see the Apple folder is already broken out here. You can see there's 10 different feeds that are inside of that. And now I can go to one place and do everything that I might want to find out about Apple and get constant updates on all of those things. Now that you've seen how to use the RSS feeds in your browser and you can see what's happening with Google Reader, you can even extend that using third-party applications. Things like Reader on the iPad or the iPhone now allows you to take that same environment that you've set up on the web, and you can, of course, view it in the browser that's on your mobile devices or use this third-party application. Here's some screenshots of how the front end looks for Reader. That is a very elegant reading view and allows you to really see what's going on and cache everything locally and connect to the internet, update all your feeds, and then walk away and be able to read some of those things afterwards. So you may find even extending the capabilities of RSS with some of these really nice reading applications. Hopefully that's given you a place to start. And if you haven't used RSS before, certainly now you're well on your way to consolidating everything that you've been surfing manually all into one single view to be able to read what's happening on those websites. If you'd like to see any of our previous Mobile Classroom podcasts, you can always visit our website at The Mobile Classroom. You can also visit us to get our link to our Facebook page where you can track what's going on. You can also follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/The Mobile Classroom, or send me an email directly. You can send it to James at themobileclassroom.com. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next time on The Mobile Classroom.